Hi kids, it's Mr. Heidukovich's classroom. I have pulled out my Super Text Detectives packet. I've turned it to the appropriate page, which is Thanksgiving in Canada for today, which should be Tuesday, November 17th, 2020. And you can see I have my material set up. So the next thing I'm going to do is just put my name and the date at the top of my paper, and then I'll zoom in and we'll begin. Thanksgiving in Canada. Canadians celebrate Thanksgiving on the second Monday of October. Thanksgiving is a holiday to celebrate blessings in the past year and the harvest or the gathering of crops in the fall. The holiday became official in 1957, but it is an optional holiday in some areas of the country. Canadians often celebrate Thanksgiving, much like in the United States, with big meals, parades, football, and time with family. In 1578, an explorer named Martin Frobisher brought 15 ships to Canada from England in hopes of finding the Northwest Passage, or an ocean path from the Atlantic Ocean to the Pacific Ocean. On the way, they faced terrible ice and storms that split up the ships. When they finally met up again in Frobisher Bay, they prayed and celebrated making it safely. Some people believe this was the first Canadian Thanksgiving. Years later, when French settlers arrived in Canada in 1604, they held large celebrations of thanks too. Similar celebrations happened after wars ended. Now Thanksgiving is celebrated every year. And I think today I'm going to try this just a little bit differently because you should have your paper out and in front of you. I am going to just leave my camera zoomed in like this so you can see the entire passage, and then I'll read the questions and then find them in there. But again, before we start, I want you to every time just quickly go through and number your paragraphs. And again, this is going to help you and me find our answers more quickly and help us communicate through video rather than just me trying to tell you it's in the 15th sentence down or the 21st sentence down. I can direct you to the paragraphs, and that should make the process faster. The first one we're going to do is the who. And the who is blue. Yay! Who explored Canada in 1578? So again, if I'm starting from the beginning, I am going to look for the numbers because to me, that focuses me in specifically on what the question wants. So I'm going to look for these numbers, 1, 5, 7, 8. So I just kind of go through and I take my pencil and I skim along, almost like I'm doing a word search until I find those numbers because I've already read the passage once. So I just keep going, and the words are kind of going through my brain. If you could open up my head, it would sound like this: with big meals, blah, 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 family. In 1570, oh, there it is, in 1578. So that right there matches exactly with my question. So who explored Canada in 1578? In 1578, an explorer named Martin Frobisher brought 15 ships to Canada from England. So I'm going to take my blue marker or my blue highlighter or my blue colored pencil, and I am just going to highlight the name, Martin Frobisher. And again, that's my preference, kids. That's what I like to do because I don't like a whole lot of highlight. I want to just highlight specifically what I need. And so at least for today, that's what I'm going to do. Sometimes I might highlight the whole sentence. Sometimes I might highlight parts of the sentence, but in this case, I'm just doing the name because I want specifically who, and that tells me who explored Canada in 1578. Martin Frobisher did. So, on to my next question, yellow. What was Frobisher looking for? Well, I know in a story or in a passage, if something mentions someone's name, which I just did from the who, then that is going to tell me more, a little bit more about what that person did. So who is right here, Martin Frobisher. What was he looking for? Well, if I continue from there, in 1578, an explorer named Martin Frobisher brought 15 ships to Canada from England in hopes of finding the Northwest Passage. What was Frobisher looking for? In this case, he was looking for the Northwest Passage. And kids, I almost highlighted the wrong color, but if I would have, that would have been okay. But some of you might look at it and go, well, Mr. Idugis, I don't know what the Northwest Passage is. That doesn't matter. I mean, it does matter. I don't want you to be like, well, just ignore it. But it doesn't matter in the sense that as you continue to think about the story, as you get new information, as you grow up and learn more things, you will start to connect those pieces and it will start to make sense. So if you don't know exactly what it is now, that's okay. But maybe when you're in 6th grade, you'll hear that phrase again, Northwest Passage, because maybe you're talking about Canada or maybe you're talking about Thanksgiving. And at least it won't be the first time you've heard it. And it might ring a bell and you might say, oh yeah, I remember that 3rd grade teacher I had. He talked about the Northwest Passage. And things will start to come together and make more sense. So even if you don't know what it is now, that's okay. That's not a reason to give up. It's not a reason to put it away. You just need to lock it in your brain, keep it there for as long as you can. And the more you hear it, the more it will come up. Anyways, the next color is red. Where did the explorers meet up again? Well, I want you to stop and go through and answer that question, and let's see if we highlight the same things. So I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to make my selection, and then I want you to do the same thing. I want you to pause the video, decide what you want to highlight, and then start it up again to see if they match. As I read the story, or the passage, or the article, or the text, whatever you want to call it, I found out that on the way, while they were going there, they faced terrible ice and storms that split the ships up. And then it says, when they finally met up again in Frobisher Bay, they prayed and celebrated. Well, that tells me, where did they meet up? In Frobisher Bay. So I highlighted met up again in Frobisher Bay, and you could have just highlighted Frobisher Bay. That would have been fine. You could have highlighted the whole sentence. When they finally met up again in Frobisher Bay, they prayed and celebrated, making it safely. It really doesn't matter as long as it gets you to that part of the story, because as you get older, you're going to want to be able to find specific things quickly, and this will speed you up. Next question. Why did Frobisher's ships get separated? Well, now that I've read this a few times, I remember exactly where that was, because it's kind of right in paragraph 3 where they've been talking about things. This one is purple, so I have to make sure I find the right color, and I kind of remember where it was. It says, on the way, they faced terrible ice and storms that split up the ships. Why did they split up? Because they faced terrible ice and storms. So as I go through and read this, I should be able to find my answers more and more quickly, because the more I read it, the more I understand it, and the easier I have time I have processing it. So we're going to move on to the next question. This one is green, and this one again, I'm going to have you pause the video after we read the question so you can find it, and then you can start up the video again to make sure what we have matches. How is Thanksgiving celebrated now? Go ahead and pause the video, grab your highlighter, highlight your answer, and then start it back up to see if our answers are the same. This one was a little bit trickier, and I did have to go back to the very beginning, and I had to read through again and really think about what the writer was trying to tell me. And I found my answer in paragraph 2. So my question was, how is Thanksgiving celebrated now? Well, this paragraph says the holiday became official in 1957, but it is an optional holiday in some areas of the country. Canadians often celebrate Thanksgiving much like in the United States, with big meals, parades, football, and time with family. Now, this doesn't specifically tell me now Canadians celebrate it this way, but it does speak in the present tense. It doesn't say Canadians used to celebrate. It doesn't say Canadians will celebrate. It says Canadians often celebrate. That tells me that they're doing it this way right now. So how is Thanksgiving celebrated now? Similar to in the United States, with big meals, parades, football, and time with family. The next question is orange. When did settlers come from France? Again, I'm going to be looking for dates. And I know I've already used that one date of 1578, and I remember where that is. And as I skim through, there's not too many more dates in here. 1957 is up above. That could be it, but that wouldn't really make sense because that's when the holiday became official. And this, the Explorer, came way back in 1578. So I'm pretty sure it didn't take 400 years for French settlers to arrive, okay, because that would be a long time. So I'm going to keep going through here, and I'm just going to skim. I'm going to see if I can find another date. So I'm looking, I look all the way through paragraph 3. I don't see anything. Years later when French, paragraph 4, years later when French settlers arrived in Canada in 1604. Okay, so it's years later, but that's from 1578. So that's about 25, 30 years later when the French arrived in Canada in 1604. So again, my question was, when did settlers come from France? Well, this specifically tells me French settlers arrived, they came to Canada or arrived in Canada in 1604. So that's where my answer is. I know some of these are confusing, kids, and I know these can be a little bit more difficult to read, but I do want to challenge your brain, and I do want you to follow along with these videos until completion so that you can hear the way my thoughts work when I process through these assignments. So, we're finished. If you do have any questions or any thoughts or concerns, maybe just write them down on your paper, or you can send me an email, or you can put it in the comment section below. I think I left the comment section on, but please keep that comment section only for questions. Mr. Hajdukovic, I don't understand how you got this answer. Mr. Hajdukovic, I don't agree with this particular answer. I think it's this. Because remember, sometimes I'm wrong, and I will go back and look through what you have to say too. Just make sure it's focused and appropriate for what we're doing. It's not a chat session. It's for comments about the assignment. Thanks, kids. I hope you have a great night. Bye.